So I thank you again so very, very much for being here today. And I really look forward to this deliberation. And my name is again Dr. Wale Idris Ajibade. I am the Executive Director of African Views Organization. I will be your host today. I've chosen to host this particular program because of the caliber of people that are going to be speaking with us today that have taken the time to support this initiative, and also because I know them and I want to personally engage in some of the deliberations today. We are going to start with our keynote speaker, and I have a story to tell with our keynote speaker today. Let me tell you about this man. We have the Honorable Otunba Bimbola Ashiru as our keynote speaker. We are so privileged to have him here. Let me begin by just reading a little bit of his bio. His bio really is a book, and I've managed to condense it a little bit because there are some of the things that needs to be said about him. He has won so many awards, but that's not what I want to share with you about it. Mr. Ashiru and I have known each other since childhood. We went to the same school, same secondary school. And not only that, we were very close friends. And he has a very, very, very special influence in my life because he comes from a really wonderful family in Ijebu Ode, which is one of the most important cities in Yoruba land, Nigeria. And he, you know, our experience together, he really exposed me to a lot of beauty of culture and the growth from puberty to you know, to youth, to childhood, to really, because I was very young. So was he, but he was wiser than me when we were kids. I'm sure he still is, and you will see. But it's such a joy to welcome my dear friend. I'm so proud of him, what he's doing in Africa, especially in the development of Nigeria, as well as the development of banking sector in Africa and in the world. Corporate Affairs and Corporate Social Investment Group Head, Public Sector with Stanbic IBT Bank. He's a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, the FCIB, the Institute of Strategic Management of Nigeria. Yes, he is the head of Private Banking Unit, head of Institution of Professional Banking, regional coordinator, country director, personal and business banking director, corporate affairs, corporate social investments of Nigeria, which is FNIMN, a Chartered Institute of Commercial Nigeria, and Chartered Institute of Commerce of Nigeria, former Commissioner of Commerce and Industry of the Ogun State, Nigeria, between 2011 to 2018. He is a member of the board of directors of Odua Investment Company. I've particularly invited him because of his prowess and also because of his experience as a commissioner of state of commerce and industry, as well as his experience with the banks. He is, in his capacity as Odua Investment Management, is able to really give us an extensive narrative about his experience and about the possibility as well as the opportunity to work together through this investment sector. So it is with such honor and gratitude and respect that I invite our wonderful brother, the Honorable Chief Otunba Bimbola Ashiru, to please take the floor. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you very much, Wally. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Wally, thank you very much for inviting me over here. It was a short notice, but I've seen quite a lot of people on the platform, and I've seen someone, I'm not going to mention her name so that I don't embarrass her. She actually worked with me very well when I was commissioner in the States. She was one of the people that supported me. It was a very short notice, but Wale is someone I have full respect for, and I can't say no to him. So I said, well, whatever the case may be, whatever I packed together and my presentations in the past, I will use that to support what he's talking about. One thing we failed to realize is that I remember when President Clinton came to Nigeria, he said something. He said, Nigerians, your wealth is on the ground. And he tapped the floor. He said, but you're not taking the advantage of what you have as a country. And I agreed with him. And I want to bring you back to memory lane of what happened in Nigeria. Nigeria is one of the largest economies in Africa. And then since in the late 60s, Nigeria has been primarily relied on petroleum. And we are a country that have made so much inroad in that area. While he was saying something, Africans, if you go to anywhere in the world, Africans are there to support. I mean, I was telling somebody a story whereby a friend of mine had an accident and was taken to London. When he got to the hospital in London, the fellow that treated him happens to be a Nigerian. The guy just left Nigeria a week before because he comes to Nigeria to consult some people, and he goes back. And the guy paid £76,000 for the treatment. You can imagine if he had looked out for the fellow in Nigeria, but he had to be taken with air ambulance, blah, blah, and he got in there and he was treated by a Nigerian. So anywhere in the world, Africans were special. And that's the reason why I tell people that when you said, well, before the pandemic, you see people coming over to Nigeria, our flights are filled up. And they say, oh, Nigeria is dangerous, blah, blah, blah. But our flights from foreign countries are filled up. And 60% of the people in the flight, they are foreigners. They are not Nigerians because they know that there are opportunities in Nigeria. I will give you a good example. When MTN came to Nigeria some years back, MTN had turned over their economy, their profitability more than 50 times. Now they take billions because they got capital import certificate. They are one of the major players in the telecoms industry in Nigeria. And the MTN in South Africa actually probably gone into bankruptcy. But the MTN Nigeria is actually making the MTN South Africa to survive. So Nigeria is an economy that there's no way you cannot make it when you come in here. But you must understand the terrain very well. And I will tell you that Nigeria is the richest and the most populous country in Africa. The country is the largest population. It's estimated to at 211 million. And that's what likely contributed to our GDP. And then I will give you some examples. And another thing is the sales of the world oil prices have we produced so much. And remember during the Gowon regime, we're making so much money, but we got carried away. And that is the problem with our leadership. And I mean, we're talking about corruption. Corruption is the bane of our problems in Africa. And until our leaders start thinking on how they can turn around the economy and start thinking about the people they are governing. Because if you see them when they are campaigning for elections, they will promise everything. And when they get there, the first thing they look at is how they are going to enrich themselves and their families. And the moment we keep on having selfish people like that, then economy of any country will continue to. Because you see, I'm talking about Africa. I'm not talking about Nigeria alone. Until our leaders now take that corruption, because corruption to our leaders, and to me personally, when I tell people, is a cancer that has always spread. And until the surgery is done, we will never change as countries, African countries, because we have all the opportunities. And I think, I'll give you a good example. During that time, during the oil boom, Nigeria used to be an exporter of cassava, all sorts of commodity products. But because of the advent of oil, we changed completely. We now started importing rice, cassava as a staple food. And I keep on telling people, Nigeria as a country has no business being an import-dependent economy. We are an export-dependent economy. And I was in Malaysia some years back, about 6 years ago. And when I met with their president and met with their ministers, they told me something. They said in the 80s, they came to Nigeria and they took our palm oil. The palm oil, they've revalidated it. They've done so many things with that. You can't believe that from extract of palm oil, I don't know how they did it. They can do it. They are producing chewing gum in that country with our palm oil, and they've diversified into so many things. Meanwhile, where the palm oil was taken in our southern parts of Nigeria, they are trying to struggle. Where the oil is being drilled presently in the southeast of Nigeria, they are living in poverty. And that is where the wealth of the country is coming from. So basically, what I'm saying is that there are problems and we need to look at how we can resolve that problem. Then the first thing is that Nigeria became the first African country to settle the debt, the Paris debt that we have. We are the first African country to settle it, and that was during President Obasanjo's regime. Now, I don't know what is going on because the debt level has increased again. So the point is that what are we doing with the funds? Where are we coming to? Where are we going to? So the point is that we need to identify what the problems are. And the private sector, they couldn't, you see, our private sector are over-reliant on the government. For example, every billionaire in Nigeria that is involved in production and manufacturing of goods and services, they're always looking forward to see who becomes the president. And they want to cultivate the president. Yes, it happens all over the world. I mean, President Trump, during his time, he had so many private sector people who are his friends. And like I told Nigerians, the way President Trump behaved during his last time, I said Nigerians should not complain that they are going to report Nigerians to Americans anymore, because the attitude of President Trump during his last few months clearly shows that he himself is an African. So I don't know what has happened, because I mean, for the first time, I see them in America contesting election that is fair, that was fair and free and fair. And I couldn't understand that. So what I'm saying basically is that we Africans, we must see how we can grow and do things. Like Wiley rightly said, we have the opportunities, we have the resources. So the only way is how do we make the best of the bad situation? That is one thing we need to look at. Another thing I want to talk about is that if you look at our monetary policy in Nigeria, it's something that we need to gauge. I mean, like I was talking to someone just before this program, that Central Bank of Nigeria should be independent so that nobody controls the way money. I mean, I give you a good example. The president of the CBN governor woke up one day and crashed the interest rate from 12% to 0. Assuming you have about $1 billion naira, you put it in deposit and you are getting about 14%, and the interest rates crashed to 0. So that means nothing for you. The next thing you do is to take your money in naira and buy private foreign exchange and take your position in dollars. And when you take your position, there will be so much pressure on your dollar, because what I'm saying in essence is that the demand and supply is the key function here. So the demand will increase and the naira will be depreciating in value. Then if you don't get that one sorted out in time, then you invest in foreign in properties. And that is the reason why property business is booming in Nigeria today. Now, I think this, because I mentioned it to him one time, I said, how can you people sit down and just decide that you cry? It's not, even in England, in America, Bank of America will not come in and just change the rate like that. No, it must be a gradual process. It's just like somebody who's into drugs, who's into cocaine. You can't take the person out of that place immediately. You have to start gradually taking, you have to be, if it was taking probably 1 gram, you reduce it to half of it, blah, blah, gradually. If you take it once, you kill the fellow. And that is the reason, that was what happened. And we looked at how these things, they did that thing. It became clear that we did not understand what, I remember a Nigerian president, he said something. He said the Nigerian problem has defied all economic needs, the former president Babangida. So what I'm saying in essence is that what happens to the business people? Even if you are an export-dependent economy and you have a lot of dollars coming in, investors coming in, because the ease of doing business, apart from that CPN thing, what are we doing in terms of people coming in to do business in Nigeria? Our brother people, what are they doing? How are you welcoming investors? So those are the things we need to look at, and as government. And that is the reason why I saw a video recently where they were talking about Nigerians who are abroad and complain about Nigeria. No, leave it, stay where you are. Let us focus on what we have here. But the problem is that how do we run the economy globally? We must, because it's a global world. We are together, we are one. So how do we run the economy together? It is the issue of balance of trade. What do you have? What do we have in exchange? look at areas where you have core competence, you have the core competence and you now leverage on that, and look at area the other countries have core competence, especially in Africa. And what I can say is that once we African countries, once we are united, then all the other countries in the world, because I can tell you, United States of America, United Kingdom, China, whatever, all these countries, they cannot survive without Africa. I can tell you that. They cannot survive without Africa. But you see, and that's the reason why it pays them, when there's a problem in Africa, they all run and see how it can be resolved. And I will give you a very good example, which I did. And you see, the direction of domestic trade, with our staple foods, likely, for example, in the North and in the South. Look at, I'll give you a good example. Because of this herdsmen issue and because of the problems, this is the festive period in Nigeria, Muslim festive period. And that is when they bring in ram from the North, because they breed them from the North. Because of that, one ram goes for 5 times the price it was last year and year before, because of the issue of insecurity. So now, how do we resolve that? So now in the South, they started thinking of ranching. How can they start breeding their own rams so that things will be resolved? But no man is an island. We must work together. We must collaborate. So even in Africa, even within the African countries, there is what they call discrimination. Some people will tell themselves they are Yorubas, some will say they are Hausas, they are Igbos. So until we believe that we are one Nigeria, we believe we are one Africa, we will continue to have the same problem. So you see, it's a problem that happens within ourselves. And also when people are talking, I tell them that, look, it seems as if we are talking about somebody else. We are talking about ourselves as we are talking about something like somebody else. So we must now sit down and see how things can be done, globally, and issues can be resolved. I'll give you good examples. For those of you who are willing to invest in Africa, especially in Nigeria, Nigeria's GDP all over the world presently is 152.3 trillion naira, which is the equivalent of about $400 billion as at 3rd of June 2021. So you can see how strong our GDP is. Then the issue of, in 2019, our GDP went up by 2.21%. In 2020, because of the pandemic, it was minus 1.79%. In 2021, as at June 3rd, it was 2.53%. Then the estimate for 2022 is 2.31%. So it clearly shows that there's something happening, but we cannot put our hands in it. So that's what I'm saying, that presently, I am not comfortable that the official rate of dollar is 410 to a naira to dollar. What will happen? Inflation is climbing, and presently in 2020, the inflation rate for Nigeria was 13.2%. Though Nigerian inflation rate fluctuates substantially in recent years, it tends to decrease through 2001 and 2020. The period ending is at 13.2% for 20. So what is Nigerian inflation rate in the last few years? If you look at it, in 2017, it was 16.5%, 2018, 12.1%, 2019, 11.4%, 2020, 13.4%. So the increase, the change, clearly show the reflection of what is happening in the country. So the point is that investors, I can tell you, and I'll be honest with you, Nigeria is a country to invest in. No matter what it is about security. When we're talking about the GDP, if you look at the contributors to Nigerian GDP, agriculture center, we look at the 21.9%, which includes fisheries, agriculture, the main agriculture, planting and growing. And like I always tell people, we must get to a level whereby we do, agriculture that leads into industrialization. We have to plant, we have to grow, and then we have to industrialize. So we must be able to produce the raw materials that are needed. I'll give you a good example. Starch is being imported into Nigeria in large quantity. Cassava, the extract from cassava is where you get starch, and from CO2 and sugar. But with those starch, if we can be producing them in Nigeria and be exporting them, so people can come to Nigeria and start growing that in terms of, because I will tell you this, CBN, they are now focusing on giving loans to prime anchor borrowers. I happen to be involved in a company that just got something large for cotton now. So basically, we want to be focusing on that. And cotton is well grown in the Southwest now. Ogun State, Ekiti, Kwara, and some other parts of Southwest. So that is another area that you can look at. Another contributor to the GDP in Nigeria is industry. They have about 27.3%, manufacturing, processing, goods and services. So those are areas too people can invest in. Then services. Services contribute 49.373, which includes telecoms, IT, banking, insurance. So it clearly shows that service areas are the areas that are contributing to the GDP of the country. They have the highest, 49.73. Then the so-called oil that we're talking about, their contribution to GDP, Nigerian GDP as of today, is only 10%. So it clearly shows that oil is not fashionable anymore. So you focus on agriculture, you focus on other areas, and the service areas are the ones that we help to navigate all these things for agriculture. So the basic thing is that people can invest in that area. And one thing that we need to look at is that if we can focus on in those areas of agriculture, because I can tell you now that everybody, they are now working on, because everybody wants, because the reason why agriculture failed in Nigeria was because of the oil boom. People left, the rural dwellers left the rural area to the urban area, and they forgot about farming. And that's the reason why most of our parents that grew up in the village, they look more healthier because they eat fresh vegetable, which helps in their, I mean, there's nothing like organic. So basically, focus is now going back to agriculture. And once we continue with that, it will help to navigate in that area. So what I've done is that I've spoken about the overview of the country, Nigeria, Africa. Then I will talk briefly about where I'm involved now is Odua Investment. Odua was established in 1976 by the Southern West government, and it was Western Region government then, which includes now Oyo, Ogun, Osun, Ondo, and Ekiti states. But in March 2018, Lagos State now joined Odua Group. Odua is a conglomerate. It was established as a one-stop shop. Odua was competing those days with UAC. And if you know what UAC is now, I mean, the development is that it covers a wide range of businesses, which includes real estate, printing, publishing, equipment leasing, food and beverages, construction, agriculture, manufacturing, hospitality, financial services, and oil and gas. But you see, unfortunately, our founders were unable to do the oil and gas. They were unable to achieve that when they established Odua. But all other areas, in terms of agriculture, if you see the cocoa, I mean, the cocoa house that was built, the first tallest building in Nigeria, 25-story building, it was the funds that was realized from agriculture then that was used to build cocoa. Excuse me, University of Ife, University, it was the funds that was realized from agriculture, rubber, cocoa, that was used to build University of Ife there. So all those buildings, the Western House, Unity House, they are buildings that the funds that were generated from Odua then. But what happened? Bad management came in, there were issues, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that. But I thank God that now Odua came in and they brought in a new set of board, which I happen to be a member. We were inaugurated on the 7th of May, 2020, and by all the state governors. And what has happened is that when we came in, we think what is going to be our vision. And the vision of Odua now is to be a world-class conglomerate. And we are working towards that. That is our vision. And our mission is to deliver returns to all stakeholders. And who are the stakeholders? Ogun, Oyo, Ondo, Lagos, Ekiti, and Osun. And enhancing legacy for future generations. We want to bring back the legacy of Odua. And I'm sure Mrs. Okuribo don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to Odua. You are in commerce and industry and you know what I'm talking. So those are the things that we are now working on. And then we now said, well, if you are going to achieve that, you must have the core values. What are our core values? It includes, you must respect each other. You must have integrity. And integrity is when you are doing the right thing, when nobody is looking at you. That is what they call integrity. So what we've done is that we want to make sure that we bring back Odua to the old glory, which our forefathers, the late Awolowo's, did then. And that is what we're trying to achieve now. The resilience, the innovation and collaboration. We want to collaborate with all other areas. All the 6 states of the Federation, they are doing that in Southwest. I want to make Odua to become the industrial hub, the economic hub of Southwest Nigeria. And we are not doing Yoruba state. What we are trying to do is to ensure that Odua becomes the economic hub of Southwest. And with that, by extension, we become the economic hub of Nigeria. But you see, our new businesses, we found out that most of the businesses that were there before, they became moribund. I mean, we have the cocoa industries, they've gone moribund. We have Ekwe plywood, they've gone moribund. We have so many, the Nigerian widening and wire, they've gone moribund. So what we have done now is to bring back the old glory, and we've gone back to that. And we have started new businesses, which include real estate and estate finances. We are doing that. Odua is the owner of Wema Board, Granville, Niger Right. You'll be surprised. Airport Hotel, Premier Hotel, Lafayette Hotel. We are the owner. The assets of Odua is over 500 billion. And I'm happy to tell you that we had our AGM last week, Thursday, and we declared a profit of 5-something billion, and we are paying dividends to our shareholders. So for the second time in the issue of Odua, we are paying dividends to our shareholders. So those are the things that we are looking at. And transportation, storage, because we found out that, now that there's rail transportation from Lagos to Ibadan, for you to leave Lagos to Ibadan now by train, maximum 3 hours, you're in Ibadan. So we are trying to create transportation that will take people from the rail station to their destinations. We are working on that, and we're going to bring all those transports there. Then the issue of healthcare, we are trying to probably revitalize one of the health pharmaceutical companies in Ogun State. We are going to bring that it will be Gateway Pharmaceutical Company. We want to bring it back. We are looking for investors who are willing to invest in that. And our hospitality business, we are looking for investors who are willing to buy into it. We are waiting for Marriott of this world. All this, Hilton, some of them have come, and I believe that they can still come. And we don't mind having, 1% of something is better than 100% of nothing. So we are willing to probably have just 5%, 10% shares and just keep our name for us. Then we have the telecoms. We had an issue with telecoms. We are trying to revitalize that and revitalize that. Then I will tell you the good news we have is the agriculture. We have formed a company called Southwest Agric Company, SWACO, which we have inaugurated in the last 1 year. We have the board, we have the chairman, and they are setting up. They have a target to meet in the next 4 or 5 years. So we are trying to see how we can navigate that, and that one is coming up. And the value chain, that is what we want to look at now. The focus on the value chain of agriculture that will lead into industrialization. So that's one we are working on that. And then the good news, which will be the final one, is that we participated in the federal government marginal oil field bills. And we won, and we were successful. We awarded 48.7% of bitter marginal field, which is in Ondo State in Southwest. And with that, and we have paid, the signature bonus was 1.4 billion. We've paid for that, and we are now engaging in bringing in partners who are going to work with us, technical partners. And by God's grace, with God on our side, if that is resolved and is sorted out, we should be able to be producing minimum of 4,000 barrels a day. And if we do that, Odua will now be one of the major earners of foreign exchange in Southwest. And so those are the things that we looked at, and then we look at the cash crops that we're going to work on. So on that note, because I know I have less than 30 minutes, if there are time for questions, I will be happy to answer them. And I want to say I thank you for listening. And then the only way forward is that we must all, as Africans, work together as one, and for the purpose of unity and united Africa. I thank you very much for listening. I pray that the good Lord will bless all of us. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so very, very much. That was just amazing. I have to explain to people that Otunba, which is the first, honorific that you see in the name of Honorable Bimbola Ashiru. Otunba is a chieftaincy title. I just want you to know that. So that's a chieftaincy title. Like in Ghana, you will say Nana. In Yoruba land, Otunba means the right-hand person of the society of the king. That's when the king awarded the right-hand person of the society.
It's like the Duke. in England.
The Duke. The Duke.
He's like the Duke in England.
The Duke, exactly. Thank you so very much. I'm just so overjoyed. Otunba has been awarded so many, has read so many awards, but I think his presentation really precedes all of the things that I could tell you about all the accolades that would come with it. And this is very interestingly funny. I have been trying to connect you with Chief Anita Okuribido. I know she knows everybody and they know her, but I've told her about you and I said, I got to connect you with my friend and so on. And she and she was looking forward to now here. I realized that you guys know each other. How could that not be? Oh, thank you so much.
She was one of my supporters when I was the commissioner. They gave me the necessary support I needed. And I'm sure she's now the president of the Chambers of Commerce now, because I know that she was very active. And I know she was very active then. And I got a good support from them. I cannot talk about my success story as a commissioner for commerce and industry without mentioning people like her and Chief Alaba Lawson.
Wonderful. Today
they were all very there for me, and they did very well. I thank you for.
Absolutely, thank you very much.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
This is great. So, we're going to be having some talks about Chamber of Commerce today. And this is also one of the reasons that I really wanted you to participate in this. So I ask you to please stick around. If anybody has a question right now for Otunba, Bimbola, Ashiru, please let's have it quickly before we move to the next. You can just raise your hand or unmute and speak. Okay.
I have a question. First of all, thank you very much, Bakawari. Thank you. This is serendipity in that we're talking to someone from Odua Investments out of Nigeria, and I'm right here from Odua Blockchain Solutions. Okay, created by a Nigerian genius for fintech. So my question to Mr. Bimbola is, Mr. Bimbola, have you considered blockchain and cryptocurrency as digital assets that you could use as the world transforms into a much more data-driven and digital economy? Thank you.
Well, maybe what we can do is that probably we can take about 3-4 questions so that we can answer. I can answer them together so that it won't delay. Or if there's no other question, then I'll just answer Mr. Achang.
Okay. In that case, if there's any other question, please add it to speak now, please. Any other question? All right, maybe for now there isn't, so maybe just answer that so we can move on. Oh.
Mr. Achang, I'll be honest with you. The issue of cryptocurrency, I've been so worried about it because, see, let me tell you this, it's a fantastic idea. But because as a banker for about 30 years, I can tell you that any transaction that doesn't have clear rules is always very doubtful. I'll be honest with you. Cryptocurrency can be used by what do you call them? The Talibans, the so-called. You see, the point is that for corruption, for example, as a government, I've served government for 8 years as a commissioner, and the only way you can, it can hate corruption. I don't know whether I'm making sense. It can hate corruption. And you see, when you are doing a transaction and you cannot, it's a chain that once it breaks, there's a problem. I remember there was something like that in England. And when people were rushing there, I called them and said, look, you see, anything that gives you a return on investment that is more than 100%, you have to be careful about it. I'll be honest with you as a banker. Any transaction that gives you more than 100% return immediately, you have to be careful about it. Fantastic transactions, crypto. People have been to me that I should invest in it, I should put money in it there. But I'll be honest with you, it's something that I've sat down, I don't understand that transaction.
Honorable Wale, Honorable Ali, just let me hold you real quick before. Okay, do you understand what blockchain technology is?
No, but hold on 1 second. You have your time. You're going to make your presentation.
Okay.
You don't want to.
What I'm saying is that
now.
when you are talking about blockchain technology, I'll be honest with you, I'm not versatile in that area. I'm not too good in IT. But my own worry is that as a banker and as a layman banking, as a banker that I was in charge of private banking, I was in treasury, I was a treasurer, I was into corporate banking. So the dynamics of that cryptocurrency, I don't understand it. You get people have been to me, they said I should invest in it. So one thing about me, I will tell you, I will never lie to you. I will tell you as it is. I will not tell you what I don't know that I know it. But what I can tell you is that I remember vividly somebody went to cash $250,000 or pounds, I can't remember, in one country, and he was arrested from the cryptocurrency. So, and I know that President Trump and one American, they are saying that, look, they are going to ban it in America. I can tell you that that currency is an event. I'm not sure. So that's why I'm saying that I'm not versatile about that, but I will be honest with you, I cannot consider cryptocurrency if I don't understand all the rules and regulations guiding it. What are the parameters? What are the analyses? I mean, if I can't do that, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to get involved. So you need to probably, maybe after this, while you connect us, you need to teach me, you need to lecture me, then I'll probably now think of investing. But now, I've seen so many people be invited me and said, because you see, it's a transfer that cannot have physical transaction on it. You know, you can do electronic transfer, your phone, transfer money from the Bank of America, Wise Bank, Islamic IBTC, GT Bank. But this cryptocurrency, to me, defies all means. I don't understand that transaction. So I would like you to lecture me on it.
Well, you get the opportunity today because he's going to be speaking. He's one of our speakers, so he's going to.
Oh, fantastic!
Isn't that fantastic? I think that's good. So we all get to learn about what it is. So save your friend. I hope the team is ready to make the presentation.